Hello everybody, welcome to Sanskrit Course for Beginners. We are having a big online class today, and we'll start with the very basics. So I'm not expecting that you would know Sanskrit or even the script before the class is started. So before we start, we'll have the prayers, our opening prayers, and you can all chant with me together, first mantra, first one by one. So we'll have Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The meaning of this mantra is that Guru is Brahma, the creative aspect of divine. Guru is also Vishnu, the preserving aspect of divine. Guru is also the Lord Maheshwara, the dissolution aspect of divine. Indeed, Guru is the supreme being, supreme Brahman. To that Guru I do bow. Then there is this mantra, teacher-student mantra. This is, we'll chant together, those who know. Otherwise, you can just see on the screen and listen. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Then we have this next mantra, Mahamrityunjay mantra. And normally this mantra is not chanted as an opening prayer, but we will use this mantra for praying for so many people who are suffering because of coronavirus. And we'll chant this together 3 times. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanat Mrityor Mukshiyam Amrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyam Amrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanat Mrityor Mukshiyam Amrutat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The meaning of this mantra is that we bow to three-eyed Lord, referring to Lord Shiva, who is full of fragrance of wonderful qualities, who gives us the nourishment, both material and spiritual. And we pray to him to free us from the death. In the same manner, a ripe cucumber gets detached from the vine when it ripens without any effort, without any pain. So that is what we are praying. So we'll see these mantras, that the meaning of these mantras, and as a part of the Sanskrit class, we'll come back to them to discuss grammatically so that you can understand how the meaning is derived. So first, a few overview points regarding Sanskrit. So origin and history. Sanskrit has unknown origins. It is considered one of the most ancient languages in the world, if not the most ancient. And its history we have from the time of Vedas. And the tradition of India believes that Vedas are timeless, in the sense not referring to the books, but referring to the knowledge contained therein. And that is, those Vedas are written in Sanskrit. So from that perspective, there is no particular timeline of Sanskrit associated. But Sanskrit has a little bit of a history, in the sense that we have two styles of Sanskrit, Vedic and so I'll just share with you the my whole screen so that you can see the whiteboard. And I'll write on the screen so that you can actually see. So two styles, Vedic and classic. So Vedic style is for the Vedas. So all the Vedas are written in the Vedic Sanskrit, and everything else is written in the classic Sanskrit. What is the difference? It is something like Old English and Modern English. So if you learn one, you can practically understand the older one, but there are some forms, the words are used a little differently, and some forms of the words may change. So we study normally classic Sanskrit. That's where all other scriptures except the Vedic scriptures are written, as well as the other texts. And Vedic Sanskrit, if those who are interested, they can actually learn those particular forms, and they can understand the Vedas. That requires a little bit more different vocabulary and different grammar. Since this is a very big class, the way we will try to manage this class is, you can send me the comments. I can't read all the comments at the same time, but do send your questions. You can also write after the class the questions on this email which I sent you in the welcome email, learnsanskrit@kriya.org. We'll also have some exercises in the class which you have to basically work on the class, so that will give you some practice. And you can submit those answers to again learnsanskrit@kriya.org. Okay, so we'll study the classic Sanskrit, this one. Now the grammar. So grammar is a very, very important part in Sanskrit. The tradition of grammar actually starts with the language itself. And right now, the most celebrated grammarian is Panini. So the way Panini or in this is the Devanagari script, and in the Roman script it would be Panini. Panini is the most celebrated grammarian for Sanskrit. And when did Panini happen? Nobody knows for sure. One thing is clear, that he happened after Mahabharata, which tradition believes about 5,000 years old. And we know that he happened at least 2,600 years ago. So between that time period, sometime Panini happened. And Panini wrote a grammar which is called Ashtadhyayi. So I'll write it, Ashtadhyayi. So I'm trying to write in both the fonts, Devanagari, and I'll explain to you those fonts. Ashtadhyayi means a book of 8 chapters. Panini's grammar consists of multiple rules, or formula you could say, spread over 8 chapters. So another thing regarding the grammar of Sanskrit, it's a descriptive grammar. What does that descriptive grammar mean? Is that language already existing, and then I am actually trying to figure out what are the rules of the language and put them in a coherent form, and that's what the grammar is. It's not like grammar came first and language started following those rules and developed. So anything which is also previous to Mahabharata, for example, also follows the same structure. Panini actually took all those scriptures and saw on the way people were speaking and saw that what rules are being followed. So it's called a descriptive grammar. Many people actually have this confusion. They feel that language actually follows grammar, but it's the other way around. Grammar actually follows the language. And the way Panini actually, so there were many attempts before that, before Panini. Panini himself has given the names of 10 grammarians. Can you all see, you can just say comment yes. Can you all see the whiteboard which I'm sharing? Because somebody said that whiteboard, they cannot see the shared whiteboard. Okay, all right. So I got the comment that yes, you can see the whiteboard. So that's fine. So Ashtadhyayi, this book of 8 chapters, Panini was one of the last original grammarian who actually wrote the complete grammar of Sanskrit starting from scratch. And this is considered one of the masterpieces, to the extent that Panini attained such a perfection that after Panini, the original grammar tradition almost stopped, because Panini reached to the limit where there was not much of a possibility of improvement. And to codify an existing language with all its variations into such a set rules of grammar, that's considered such an astounding work that most of the people today consider Panini Ashtadhyayi as one of the most intellectual work ever produced by human intellect. And indeed, if you study Panini, you would actually be concurring with that conclusion. I have studied some and it's just amazing. So those of you who are interested to learn Sanskrit deeper, to really understand what the grammar is, I would recommend you to some time. So we will not be of course, we will not be following the Ashtadhyayi here. That is considered a very advanced work. Despite that, the rules which we will be discussing, they are coming from the same book, Ashtadhyayi. It's a very small book. If you look at, if you just take the text of the book and put it in the full-scale papers, like type on the computer 8.5 by 11, you would probably get the whole text in 20 pages. And that's it. That actually takes, traditionally people were studying just that book with all its commentaries and examples for 12 years. That's how the tradition of grammar actually in India people were studying. For 12 years, just mastering the grammar. And we would be sharing, just want to let you know, we would be sharing all the materials, including whatever you see on the whiteboard and some other notes with you. So, and class video itself, class recording video itself. So please be aware that all the material which you are seeing on the screen, as well as the class recording itself, will be shared with you. And I have already sent you that link in that welcome email. And so you don't have to take notes of everything, whatever you are seeing on the screen. So you can focus more on learning aspect. So this book, Panini's, it is the formula are written very much like in the computer style. So when I say computer style, means very logical. So if you say like first rule, if this applies, then this, else this, and that if then else logic can go like 8 or 9 loops sometimes. To see something put that kind of logic in grammar rules at that time, it's just amazing. And then he has also defined the variables, the range variables, and to make sure that the formula which he has put in remains so short that even taking one letter out of the whole book is not possible without disturbing the meaning. And that makes it extremely difficult to study in today's time, because and that's why there are so many commentaries and explanations and examples to understand Panini Ashtadhyayi. So grammar tradition in Sanskrit is considered a very sacred tradition, in the sense that grammar is considered one of the 6 limbs of the language in order to understand the Vedas. So this called Shadanga, or 6 limbs. And in today's time, when Sanskrit is not truly a language which people learn as a mother tongue, like it's a language which you have to learn. You can't just pick up the language by being born in a particular place. Like English, even if you do not know how to write a single letter in English, if you are born in a place where English is the language spoken, you would pick up English. That's not the case with Sanskrit. Sanskrit necessarily has to be learned in order for you to understand, either read or speak or write. And the way to understand Sanskrit is actually to study grammar. So these are the just to understand that grammar is considered very, very important, very critical for learning Sanskrit language. Unlike any other language, grammar in Sanskrit, people actually revel just in being grammarian. So grammarian is actually considered a career in those who study Sanskrit, just studying grammar. So the whole career, they are just mastering the grammar. And when I say mastering the grammar, that is primarily just this book, of which has 4,000 formulas, Ashtadhyayi. Just this book, mastering that book for the whole life. And you can understand the complexity of this book, the kind of variations, the kind of things which allowed that people actually are they having as a career. Like in Varanasi, which is considered in India a city of learning, of traditional learning, if you go, there are people who know Sanskrit and they are primarily grammarians. So they would be able to basically answer all your grammar questions. Not that other people who know Sanskrit won't know grammar, but they would go into such nitty-gritty, such exceptions, such details that which other people will not be. So that's just I just find this fact amazing, that grammarian as a career actually. So very long tradition of grammar. Now, alphabet and script. So this is one of the building blocks of any language, and we will see that what all is there in Sanskrit. So remember first, the language is actually a series of sounds. Those sounds are identified as words and sentences. So out of those sounds which are identified as the words, people take some units of sound and say those are the letters which are the basic building block, and that becomes an alphabet. As a language evolves, generally it's the spoken part which comes first. Language is developed as a spoken language, and then the written part comes. Actually, in Sanskrit, the name of language is called bhasha, which actually means the one that is spoken. So in Sanskrit, the sound units which are identified, they are generally known 50, though we'll see that how they make up 50. And those are so precisely arranged that it's actually extremely systematic and scientific, that there is no difference in Sanskrit that how is it written and how is it spoken. It's a perfectly phonetic language. Whatever language I have come across, I have not found even a single other language which is actually completely phonetic, that there are no exceptions. So if you are speaking, you can just write, and if you are seeing a written language, as long as you know that how to pronounce, you can actually pronounce it perfectly. So there is a one-to-one relationship between a sound unit and the corresponding alphabet. In English, we always have this problem that if you are writing a spelling, you also have to give a pronunciation key, how to pronounce the word. So in my childhood, there was always this confusion that CUT cut, BUT bud, but PUT put. And there is, at least as far as I know, there is no logic behind that why the pronunciation in English is so different from the spelling. Now the languages which are derived from Sanskrit in Indian languages primarily, they also follow the same alphabet, and they also follow this phonetic aspect of the language. Yet there has always been a little bit over a period of time, as per the usage, there has been some deviation where the language has not remained perfectly phonetic. So for example, in Bengali, even though it is the same alphabet, but in Bengali generally the three S sounds, three Sha sounds are all pronounced as one. So like that, in most of the Indian languages, there has been slight deviation, so that it has not remained a perfectly phonetic. Nevertheless, by and large, they are phonetic languages. But Sanskrit, as it is, it's a perfectly phonetic language. So we'll see the alphabet of the Sanskrit. We also see the scripts, and we will also see that how do we type the Sanskrit on computer. So let me open the file for alphabet. So I'll increase the size here so that you can see. So this is just the overall alphabet. So there are vowels which are arranged in a particular section. There are and then there are consonants. So like in English, where the vowels are A, E, I, O, U, and they are not in one place in alphabet. In Sanskrit, all the vowels are actually in one place, and all the consonants then follow thereafter. So this is just a overall alphabet, and then I'll tell you the vowels. So these are the vowels. So I'll pronounce the vowels, and you can see they are written in two scripts. This is Devanagari, and this is called IAST. IAST means International Alphabet for Sanskrit Transliteration, also called the Roman alphabet because we derive it from the Roman letters. Traditionally, Sanskrit is written in Devanagari alphabet, and in modern times, many of the books are also written in the IAST, this Roman alphabet. So all our Kriya Yoga publications, we follow both Devanagari as well as the IAST. And it is good to get familiar for sure with IAST, because that is something you can easily get familiar. And those who are interested to learn higher Sanskrit, they should also learn Devanagari. And I'll share with you a few resources which actually you can use to learn Devanagari. So I'll just say the syllables aloud so you understand the sound. You are, I hope you understand, being this online class and a huge class, we will not be able to have any practice. I will not be able to check that whether you are pronouncing correctly or not. If there was an opportunity here last year in Miami Ashram where we had a group and I could actually physically take a class and work on the pronunciation, I would be happy to do so. Another physical class if in Miami Ashram or somewhere else to those who are interested in learning the correct pronunciation of these letters. But there are resources on the website and which I'll share with you. So in this class, these Sanskrit classes, I'll try to use both the scripts, but for sure Roman script, because most of the participants, they are not from India, and consequently they do not know Devanagari. Even in India, many people do not know Devanagari. But so I'll definitely use the transliteration, the IAST script, while using this class. And also I'll use most of the times Devanagari as well, so that you understand that how is it written in Devanagari script. And those who know Devanagari or are knowing some Devanagari, I would recommend them to practice it and master Devanagari script. So regarding vowels, I'll just chant them aloud. A, I, E, U, R, R, L, R, A, I, O, Au, So this is the sound of just the, like this kind of sound. And this is exhalation sound, like we say Ramaha. So it's not like ha, it's more like an exhalation sound. And that's why these are considered in the vowels, because the vowels and consonant, I do not know if you understand the difference, that how a particular sound unit is defined as a vowel and how a sound unit is defined as a consonant. Vowel is actually something you can pronounce independently and you can chant like for a longer time. So I can say ah like this. But if a consonant like has to be pronounced along with the vowel, cannot be just independently pronounced. These two, that's why they are considered in the vowels, but they are not like, they do not appear ever by themselves. They always appear as sounds associated with the vowel. So you will never see these kind of sounds. These are the two special cases just by themselves. They will always be following a vowel sound. So for example, I could say Ramaha, and in that case it is a and then this sound. So a and then this sound, like this. So I will not spend a lot of time on the sounds. I know that it will not be possible for you to follow all in this class, but you can probably practice it and learn it later on. I'll share with you a link whereby you can do so. Then the consonants. So consonants are beautifully arranged in a tabular format here. And this is the only script I have found, actually, only language where the alphabet is defined in a tabular format rather than just simply a list. And this table format is actually very important here. And I'll increase it a little bit more so that you can see more clearly. So there are these many consonants in Sanskrit, but we'll focus first on this 25 consonants, the table of 5 by 5. And these are considered by so in the column, if you look at, these are from the place in the mouth where you make the sound. So guttural means these sounds are made from the throat. These sounds are made from the palate. That means just above the teeth. These sounds are cerebral or made from the upper palate. These sounds are made when the tongue touches the teeth. And these are the sound, in order to make, you have to touch your lips. So labial is lips. So these are considered a very, very structured method. As I said, I have not known any other language where the alphabet is so structured. If you look at here, in this row, these sounds are made unaspirated, means when you are speaking and you place your hand here, you will not be able to perceive the flow of air on your hand. In these sounds which are aspirated, you can actually perceive the flow of exhalation. So same sound. So these sounds, the first and second row, the only difference is that you can say the same sounds with an exhalation and you would be able to produce these sounds. And because of this scientific way the whole thing is structured, even for people who in the West, they are not having these sounds in English, for example, like kha, this sound is not available in English, or gha, one can be actually trained to learn these sounds, because they are very systematically defined, that where the position of your tongue should be in your mouth and whether it's exhalation or not in order to make these sounds. The hard and soft sounds related to the fact that these are called like sonnet sounds. So it's like sort of what is it called ghosha, where it is you can perceive the difference between, like when you say k and g, ka and ga, it is coming from a little deeper into the throat, and it sounds soft, so that's why in English it is called soft, but in Sanskrit the word is actually ghosha. And then these are the nasal sounds. That means these sounds will always have an element of the nasal. You would be pronouncing these sounds not purely from the nose, but also the nose would be involved. So I'll just speak these sounds, and then I'll show you the places where you can learn later on. So the way alphabet is ordered, it is ordered in this fashion. So ka, kha, ga, gha, Then palatal. Palatal means the tongue is actually just above the teeth. Cha, cha, ja, jha, nya. This sound is very similar to what in Spanish this letter actually represents. Then cerebral, the upper palate, the tongue, like how do you say in English T, like that kind of sounds. So ta, tha, da, dha, na. Then dental sounds. If you make these sounds, you notice that the tongue will be touching the teeth. Ta, tha, da, dha, na. Labial sounds. When you make these sounds, the lips would always close in order to make these sounds. Pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. Then we have these semi-vowels. Actually, these should come first, and then this will come later. So these are ya, ra, la, va. And these are so the reason I had put in this order was basically to show that these are the throat sound, but the order is like this: sha, sha, sa, ha. So these are the sounds. This sound, the three S sounds, this is a palatal sound, as you can see here. That was the reason why it was put in that way. This is the cerebral sound, which is the tongue touching the upper palate. So the same sound you can actually make, and this is the same sound which you can just have the dental. So tongue is touching the teeth. So the three sibilants, they are called, they actually are just produced based upon where is your tongue in the mouth. And ha, this is a very common sound. Some of the words I'll just, so that we will cover that. A is like, this is the Sanskrit word, like ataha, a, atma, I, ichha, I, ishwaraha, U, uvacha, U, urdhvam, Ru, rushihi. Then these sounds which are we don't have really words starting with these sounds, and this sound simply does never appear. The long r never appears actually in classical Sanskrit. This appears only very rarely. So these are very, very rare. This is not rare actually, this is quite common. This is not so common, but it does appear. Just that the words don't start with this sound. A ekam, I airavatam, O ojasa, Au aushadham. Then, as I said, these sounds and exhalation sound, they don't appear independently. They always follow a vowel sound. Ka, karma, kha, kham, ga, gachati, gha, ghosha. No word will appear, they start with this sound. So they will always be appearing in the middle somewhere. So this is like sangam. It is similar to like ing sound, sound in English. Then cha, chakram, cha, chanda, ja, jagat, jha, jhashanam. The reason you will see these words because they have been taken from Gita for most part, and some of you who have studied Gita might find them familiar. Nya, Sanjaya. Again, this sound does not have a word starting with that. Ta, takkaraha. There are not surprisingly many words in Sanskrit which actually start with this letter, ta and tha. They are so tha, thakkaha, da, damaruhu, dha, dhalam, na, krishna. Again, this sound does not appear in the middle, starting of the word. This sound only appears in the middle. Ta, tapaha, tha, thud, da, dandaha, dha, dharma, na, namaha, pa, pancha, fa, pha, phalam, ba, balam, bha, bhaktaha, ma, mataha, ya, yajnaha, ra, rajas, la, labhe, va, vachanam, sha, shakyam, sha, shad, sa, satyam, ha, hitam, cha, kshama. So this is technically speaking not considered separate letter in the alphabet because it is a consonant. So the two letters actually come together. Ka and sha, they actually make cha. But for most purposes, many people they include it in the alphabet. So that's how it makes 50. You can see there are 50 actually. So that's how it makes up 50 letters actually in the alphabet in Sanskrit. So this is for the alphabet. Now the script. So Sanskrit is actually considered a perfectly phonetic language. What does that mean is that you can potentially create any system of symbols and say that this symbol represents this Sanskrit sounds, and you can create your own script, and that would be fine. So just on the lighter note, you could actually say, for example, you could say that a small square, I represents this as the A sound, and then you can say a rectangle, you can say this I represents as A sound. You can have like a triangle and say this I represents as E sound, and you could have like this, and you can say this is long E sound, and you can create like this, and that will becomes your alphabet. The only thing is alphabet is only meaningful when more people are using it. If you are the only one who knows the alphabet, then it's truly not much useful. So but it's actually possible to create a completely new alphabet, and it will be fine. One can actually read it just fine, Sanskrit actually using that alphabet. So because it's a perfectly phonetical language, there have been many scripts for Sanskrit. Manuscripts in Sanskrit are found in many languages actually, many scripts actually. So we will, for our purpose, I want to introduce you to 3 scripts in Sanskrit. And those 3 scripts are primarily to be used on the computer. So one is Devanagari, we already learned that. Another is IAST, which also you saw, International Alphabet of Sanskrit Transliteration. Then the another one is iTrans, it's called iTrans, Indian Languages Transliteration. Why do I need to have iTrans? Is simply I can actually do it on the computers. That is the only reason why would I actually have this script. That computers do not allow me to directly type the Devanagari in the keyboards, for example, the general keyboard which you have, QWERTY keyboard, QWERTY, QWERTY keyboard, it does not have the symbols for IAST. So in order to type on the computer, I actually create, this is a new script which uses just those symbols which are there on your keyboard, and using those symbols there is a mapping and there are softwares which actually can produce Devanagari and IAST. So because I told you Sanskrit scripts, they are interchangeable because it's the mapping of the sound, it's a perfectly phonetic language. You can actually easily transliterate from one script to another script, and there are tools available actually for that. So one of the documents which I actually have shared with you on your which is shared with you actually on the common resource which we are having. So this document, it has all the mapping actually. So it has Devanagari, IAST and iTrans. That means if you look at an iTrans column, all the symbols you can actually use on the keyboard. So these are all the symbols which are available on the keyboard, and wherever you see the two options like long A, like capital A, or two small a's, that means that you could use either of these options to produce these characters. So there is a mapping available, and this iTrans column, this allows you to actually get these symbols in Devanagari and IAST. So iTrans is all the symbols which are available on your keyboard. So one of the tools which I like actually, and there are others, but I like this one which allows you to, so I'll just use this tool actually here, and I'll show you that how does this work. So I'll increase the size so that you can probably clearly see. So I'll show you how does this tool work. So iTrans and to Devanagari, let's say I want to convert. So I want to write Ramaha. Now if you look at it's this scheme here, it's kind of intuitive. So if you want to write Ramaha, it is like R and then A, M, A and H. This is the symbol for exhalation or visarga. So like Ramaha, it produces. You can just change it to IAST and it produces Rama. And this you can actually copy in your any application. So I can actually take this, copy, and even if I open the notepad, I can actually have this symbol, which is, it looks a little bit sometimes strange, but generally it works actually. So because these are Unicode symbols, and so they can appear actually here. I think it is because of the font, it is looking a little bit bold, but idea is that any Windows application or most any applications, including on your cell phones, you can actually use these characters because these are Unicode, and even the Devanagari. So I can actually take this here and say Rama like this. So this is the way to actually type it on the computer. You can use the iTrans scheme. You can generate, and as you can see in this tool, there are like number of scripts. So you can actually create it in Bengali or other scripts like Telugu, Tamil, Odia, and also there. So as you can see, there are multiple scripts. People try to create many scripts from the Roman characters to write Sanskrit, because Devanagari was not always very easy for people to learn. And but for our purpose, we are just concerned about these three scripts. So iTrans. So I'll say Devanagari, which is then iTrans or IAST. So just to again tell you, this is the mapping. This mapping document I have already put in our shared drive. You can actually access this document, and it gives you the mapping of all the Devanagari, all the Sanskrit alphabet in all the three scripts. And in order to type on the computer, you type this, use this tool, Sanskrit, and you can get either of the scripts. Just to let you know that even though you can see that Notepad shows these scripts, and any application will actually show these scripts, I can actually even send you the comments on the Zoom chat in these scripts. There are a couple of fonts which we use, and these are also used in our Kriya publication books actually. So Sanskrit 2003 for Devanagari, and this PAITU, this is for IAST. These are pretty good fonts, can be used in Word and other applications. And I would recommend you, but not necessary, I would recommend you to download and install. You don't have to note down these links, because as I said, the document is already shared with you, and you can actually download and install these fonts. But you can still see the characters even if you don't have these fonts installed. Then there is another site which I found, which is useful for learning Devanagari. There are like many resources on the net which you can search. I'm just sharing one here with you which I liked actually. So this requires Adobe Flash actually, and you have to actually allow it in order for this to work. This particular site, and this I cannot apparently zoom much more, but you can see here the consonants, and it actually allows you to how to write Devanagari characters like this, and you can actually have the sound and with an example and like this. So this is it, and then you can also have the test. So there it can actually say make a sound, and then you can test and say which one I choose, and then it will show you whether it's correct or not. So it's a nice site. You can use that. You can also search on the web. There are many resources for learning Devanagari, and you could pick up if you want to learn Devanagari. As I said, if we take our advanced Sanskrit courses, I would actually take those primarily in Devanagari. So those who are really interested in learning Sanskrit for advanced purposes, they should learn Devanagari. But for this course, Devanagari is not a requirement, as I would be using the Roman script throughout the course. Now, with this much, you understood the alphabet, the script, and how to type Sanskrit on the computer. At this point of time, I would actually like you to take a small break. I'll give you an exercise because it is very important for you to get familiar with the script. So I'll give you a little bit of an exercise. You can start writing. So this exercise I'll post also in the I'll also post in your share drive. But for now, we can actually do this. So this is the exercise 1, and the exercise is that copy the opening prayer shlokas. So remember 3 shlokas we chanted, and I'll put them on the screen. Opening prayer shlokas on a piece of paper, and those who know Devanagari, they should copy in both the scripts. That means Devanagari and IAST. Those who don't know Devanagari should copy in IAST, and you can take the photo of your work and send us by email. You always mention whenever you are sending the solution to the exercise to that email. An email, just in case you don't remember, but it is learn Sanskrit at kriya.org. And always mention the exercise in the subject line so that we know that you are sending the solution of your exercise rather than just any question or suggestion. So right now it is 10 o'clock. 10 minutes, I would say, use this as an exercise right now, and then we resume the class after that. If there are any questions, you can write to me in the Zoom chat. You can always send your suggestions and questions and exercise solutions on the email address which I showed you. Okay, so I'll stop sharing the video. Screen would be shared, and I'll also mute myself after I will put the prayers. So these are the opening prayers, so all you have to do is on a piece of paper, write these prayers at least in the IAST font. That way you will start getting familiar that how does the font look like. And those who know Devanagari, they should write in Devanagari also. So you have 10 minutes time, and so these are to be written on by hand on a piece of paper. And the computer exercise would be separate. So you need to get familiar yourself with the script, and for that writing is actually very important. So this is the prayers. This is the document. Please do write these things, okay, and send it to us. I want to see that you are actually doing it. So you can take a photo of the page and send it to us by email. I'll already give you the email. Okay, so I'll mute myself also, and you can write your suggestions, comments, as well as start working on this exercise. Right now it is 10 o'clock. We'll resume like 10:10 or 10:11. Okay. Okay, everybody, welcome back. So, those who have finished, we received already a number of responses. Those who already responded to our email, thank you. We will check randomly a few of them because it is not possible, as you can understand. We have more than 600 participants registered for this class to check each and every exercise, but we'll check randomly a few and we'll send you the responses. But this is just simply a copy, so it should not require much of a checking. You just need to be careful in order to copy them properly. Second thing is, those who have not been able to complete it yet, and that's fine. We would have these exercises posted actually on our shared drive, and shared drive address was actually sent to you in uh, the welcome email, but I'll just show you once more where is it, so that you know where the shared drive is. So if you go to learn.kriya.org, and here you can say Sanskrit Course. I'll just increase the screen size so that you can see a little better. Sanskrit Course. So this website is learn.kriya.org. You go to Sanskrit Course, and this is the site, and then you can go to Sanskrit Course documents. This is the link. So if you go Sanskrit Course documents, you will see the folders here: class notes, class videos, exercises, and PowerPoint and other material. And that's where we'll put the class videos. Class notes also will be put in, exercises will be put in, and then some other material. So for example, if you look at here, I have put in a copy of Bhagavad Gita, which is in both the fonts. Prayers which we chant in the class, they are there, and also the transliteration scheme which I showed you, which has the link for transliteration tool and other things. So just to let you know that this is our shared drive, and you have the link from Sanskrit learn.sanskritkriya.org. So I'll just share this link again with you, everybody, in the chat window. So the link for shared drive is now. One thing I want to actually tell you here, that this course, the way it started actually, so the way it started was in Florida, in Miami Ashram, where I am. Some people were really interested in learning Sanskrit, and they requested me here, and I said, okay, fine. It's much better to actually have a physical class, and you all come here, and we'll have a very intense 2 weeks for 2 days because they apparently had the time to come. So 2 days 2 weeks you come, and we'll have twice a day, and we'll have a very intense, and you will be able to learn a fair amount. And there was one person who was organizing all these activities, and in between we had this coronavirus breakout. It was not possible to have a physical class, therefore the suggestion was made to make it online. And I said, fine, we can do online. It won't be as effective, but we can do online given the circumstances. I was still in the favor of having a very limited number of people there, so that we could have a very free interaction, something like 20, and we could have these classes once or twice a day. Then after, somebody suggested that since there are so many people who want to learn Sanskrit, instead of limiting it to 20, why can't we open it globally? Because once it is online, it doesn't truly matter where the person is sitting. And I said, okay. I was still thinking maybe our class size would be more like 50 or so. But considering now it's like 500 plus. Right now I see the 330 plus participants, but there were total number of people who registered, who could not come every day actually. Who registered for the class is actually 600 plus. So having this intensive schedule, every class every day may not suit many of you, because Sanskrit requires a lot of self-study. The material which I will be posting, you would have to actually go through that material and understand, so that for the next class you can come prepared and you can ask the questions, and whatever you may have, you can send us the email and we'll try to answer whatever number of questions we can answer. Uh, Regarding that email, I have my brother disciple Brahmachari Ben Baba here in Miami Ashram with me. He has graciously offered his time to handle this, all these questions and queries and the exercise on the email. Of course, as you can understand, depending upon the volume, we'll try to do whatever we can. But please do send, nevertheless, your questions and comments and exercise solutions. So there was some feedback that in such a big class, online class, and particularly when many people, they do not have any background whatsoever in Sanskrit, and they are also busy in doing their other things, this intense schedule for conducting classes every day, 6 days a week, may not be very practical. People may not be able to catch up with whatever is being taught. So that feedback was there from some of you. I myself am of the opinion that we should actually reduce the class to alternate days. So maybe like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Please do send your comments. What do you feel? How I want to listen your feedback from a larger perspective, whether you want the classes 6 days a week or whether you would like classes alternate days, like 3 days a week. Personally, given the commitment of the people and also some feedback, I feel that now the class is online and such a huge group, the 3 days a week may be more practical. But I would still wait for you to actually respond to me. And accordingly, once I receive your feedback, I would actually communicate to you um, by email, and we will decide whether we will want to have classes tomorrow or starting Wednesday, so that you will receive an email. So just wanted to let you know that how this history of this class, how it started, and how we ended up in actually such a huge online class, which was not at all the plan to start with. But I'm happy that so many of you are actually interested in Sanskrit, and this class has actually become a global class. So of course, many of you also showed interest, but said that because of the time difference, like in Australia, it's like past midnight, they could not attend these classes, and we understand that. And they maybe in future, we could offer a class at a time where other regions which are not able to participate in this class because of the time difference, they may be able to participate. Uh, so I'm very happy that so many of you have shown the commitment, and I would sincerely request you to follow the lessons, to follow the material, and you can ask the questions, and we'll try to answer whatever capacity we have from those questions. Okay, so uh, uh, now the so regarding the exercises, I was hoping that we would actually get to two exercises today. One is on the computer, one is on the uh, so on the paper. So paper one is already done. So this is the second exercise which was supposed to be in the class. So why don't you type it and use this tool, Sanskrit? Type the first verse of Bhagavad Gita and send it to me. This you can even send in the Zoom group chat or in the email. Actually, you can send in the email, fine. Because so again, this anybody can, because it's written on the computer, anybody can do it on the Devanagari as well as IAST, because even if you do not know Devanagari, you can just type in the iTrans. So the way to work again, I want to show you. Way to work again is Sanskrit. You go to this tool, you open this window, say from iTrans to Devanagari or IAST. Those who know Devanagari, they can choose Devanagari. Those who do not know, it's better to say IAST so that you can see what you are typing, whether it is producing the result which you desire. It requires a bit of practice, and for the homework, I actually have chosen for you to type more than just one verse of Bhagavad Gita. But for our class purpose, I do not know if there is enough time. Probably not. But those of you who can, otherwise they can do as a homework. That is fine. I just want to make sure that whatever we have learned, we do practice. And this is very important for you to keep up with Sanskrit language. It's not a trivial study. Sanskrit requires a certain kind of dedication and commitment if you want to learn. It's not at all trivial that you can attend one class and then you can forego, or you don't revise the lesson and then come next time, because it builds up. It builds up on the whatever you have learned previously. And for many of you who are getting exposed to Sanskrit first time, it may not. It may require far more time to absorb the things, and that's another reason why I can understand that some of you said 3 days a week would be better. So depending upon your feedback, I'll send you the communication. How do we want to progress the classes? But please do these exercises, and then there are other exercise from home, and this is basically, I have put download Bhagavad Gita from document repository and write first 10 words from second chapter manually on a piece of paper, and again you send this piece of paper to me. And exercise 4, this is download class prayer document from repository and type all the verses using Sanskrit tool. This is computer, and then again you send me this exercise. So always write the exercise number whenever you are sending the solution of the exercise to me in the on the computer. So with this, and the time is coming to a close, you can choose, you can do the second exercise, this one now, but basically from our perspective the class is finished. I would just take in 2 minutes if there are any questions which I can answer from the comments. So most of the people are giving the feedback it's 3 days a week is better, and I'll also check your comments in the email. So depending upon how and what most people are actually suggesting, and also when you are saying 3 days, I'm proposing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but please propose like which days would be better for you out of the 3 days, and then we can accordingly keep those 3 days. So there was a question that is there an alphabet in audio format? That website which I showed you for practicing Devanagari, that does have the alphabet in audio format. So this one question is, if we do 3 days per week, then how long will the classes last? Would we increase the course duration from 3 weeks to like 4 weeks or later? We can see that depending upon the availability and interest, we could increase the duration. That is definitely a possibility. So somebody is saying that they cannot take the picture of the paper sheet. These days, everybody's cell phone, pretty much, I believe everybody's cell phone has camera. So please do use your camera to take the picture. Just take a nice picture so that it's very legible, and then you can send it to us by email. Okay, so those who are not able to catch up in this class or have to miss this class but still would like to continue this course, as I told you, the repository is there. We would be posting the class videos, we would be posting the class notes, we also would be posting all the other materials which we are discussing in the class, so including the exercises. So that way you would be pretty safe from the course material perspective. So with this, I would like to close the class. Please do these exercise and send your comments and feedback. I would do the closing prayers. So closing prayers, and those who you actually are joining using the cell phone may not be able to see it very clearly, as I mentioned in the welcome email. So please use a bigger screen, monitor or laptop. Then you should not have difficulty in seeing the text, because there would be lot of text, lot of screen sharing, and it's important that you have the bigger screen. Cell phone alone won't work. Mm, so these are the closing prayers. So this is a very popular prayer when it is mantra for everyone's well-being, more very relevant in our times when so many people are going through suffering. And then the next one is mantra for completeness and perfection. So we'll chant it together. Those of you know who can they can join me. Otherwise, otherwise you just listen. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. The meaning of these mantras is: may everybody be happy, may everybody be healthy, may everybody see goodness all around, may nobody has any suffering whatsoever. And then the mantra for completeness, that the whole, the one which is the perceiver, that is perfection. The what is perceived, that is also perfection. From the one, the other arises. If you take the perfection from the one, from the another, what remains is the perfection. It is of course a mantra which requires a lot of explanation to understand, but it's a very beautiful mantra. And we will see some of these mantras as our Sanskrit class progresses. We will see the meanings of these mantras, that how do we arrive at these meanings. Okay. With this, I would like to conclude this class. Thank you so much. Thank you.